Well, I've got an update on the Iron Mountain Gap that had the closure with the detour and is now open, but you couldn't really see where the trail was. And I've got an update for you folks who are going to be coming through that area. So that's NOBO flip-floppers section, day hikers, what have you out there. Got an update on James Jordan, the killer on the Appalachian Trail who murdered Stronghold in 2019. Got an update on him and your efforts that you've made on writing the letter against him getting out of confinement, plus some other trail information that you need to know out there. And of course, we've got Thru-hiker updates coming to you from the Thru-hikers that are out there on the trail. All right, let's go ahead and dive right in. So what have we got going on Iron Mountain Gap? Well, last week I told you that Iron Mountain Gap has now been opened by the Forest Service. Of course, the ATC published that as well, but ATC, they cannot open or close a section of the trail. And so only the entity that's responsible for it, in this case, it's a U.S. Forest Service in that area. And so they opened it. It was open last week, but the problem is that it wasn't ready to be open. So there was logging operations had occurred. There was still trees that were down. There was still a lot of overgrowth. You couldn't see the trail and everything. And the trail maintainers had not been given a heads up that, hey, we're getting ready to open this trail. Can you get out there and do something about it? Or can you get out there and fix it to where hikers can actually find the trail? So fortunately, Tennessee Eastman dived right in just like they pulled off a miracle, getting the whole trail that was completely devastated by Helene when it came through. They got it open for the next Thru-hiker season in time for Thru-hikers to come through there, with the exception of Iron Mountain Gap, and they weren't allowed to do that because of the logging operation that was going to happen in there. So they couldn't go in there and do that while the possibility of it was going to be logged. So that took a while, but in any case, they're back in there, and they came in there and jumped right on it, cleared it out. So it pretty much is now clear all the way, continuous footpath. There is a small section north of the highway there where the trail crosses over at Iron Mountain Gap. It crosses over a pretty good sized road there, a 2-lane road. I can't remember what the road number is, but anyway, it crosses over that road. And from there to Weedy Gap, you're going to be taking a Forest Service road rather than the trail. They're going to be working on the trail, getting that taken care of, but the Forest Service road is like right there, runs parallel, in some cases, within sight of the Appalachian Trail. So not going to be a problem for you. It's going to be temporarily blazed as well, or certainly some signs put up directing you to that. But the rest of it is good to go. They even had some help from ATC staff that came down and helped them out. Of course, the shelters that were damaged in that section, Cherry Mountain Shelter, it is now being completely torn down. It was devastated by trees, and now that site, it's flat on the ground, and now that site is just for camping only. And then Moreland Gap Shelter, it was also pretty badly damaged. It was open, but if I'm not mistaken, it's been closed. It's going to be torn down sometime probably in the fall, but certainly before December 31st. They've already plotted out how they're going to get the debris out of there and get the shelter demo products out of there. And then it's going to be up in the air about those being rebuilt. They may be rebuilt, although plans have been submitted or in the process of being submitted. But there's a lot of stuff's got to happen before that. A lot of studies that got to be happening, a lot of red tape. And so if they are going to be rebuilt, it's years before that happens. In the meantime, it's just going to become a camping sites, designated camping sites. Of course, Tennessee doesn't have privies, so there's no privies there, but there's water sources there, so those are going to be usable. And they may very well not rebuild those. Laurel Fork Shelter there near Laurel Falls, that is considered a nuisance shelter. It burned last year, and so it is not going to be rebuilt, and it's not a really great camping area around there anyway because it's just so rocky. And then Roan Mountain Shelter, of course, that is an old fire tower warden's cabin. and it has been, right now, it's got to have some major repair work to the bottom logs, and so it's been deemed unsafe and is closed, and I think it's closed to even go up there and camp. And so it's going to have some major work done on it, and right now that's kind of up in the air as well. So plenty of places to still camp in that area, just not going to have shelters for several years in that general vicinity. Then I want to thank everybody that wrote to Annette Cox on behalf of the victims and the entire trail community to try to keep James Jordan in a committed facility, a mental institution, keep him committed. So put out last week that he is right now, his team, his doctors, and I don't know if he's got lawyers anymore or not, but certainly his doctors are trying to get him on unsupervised outings. By that, they're trying to go slow, and they're going to go for, it's not a permanent release at this point. It's just temporary for like, a couple hours, a couple times a week. However, we all know that in mental health cases, they use that as a test bed, and eventually they're going to try to get him out on a permanent basis. And so once he passes all that out, and he's had to do things along the way that shows he's improved while he's taking his medication to prevent his illness, his mental illness that he has. And so this will just lead up to eventually him getting out. And so I had asked, and on behalf of the victims, and the victims had asked, or certainly the Sanchez family had reached out to the community and asked as of last week, that people write to Annette Cox. I'll leave that, her email address down below, write and ask that James Jordan not be released because of the trauma, not only to the actual direct contact victims, and of course the murder of Stronghold, but also to us, the trail community, who are going to be out there hiking. We know mental health patients typically will return back to what they know, and he knows the trail. That's his place he goes to, just like happened many years ago in another case where the murderer of 2 hikers returned back out to the trail and did likewise again. So a lot of folks are concerned. We've had Annette Cox has received over 100 people write in. That's not enough. I want to crash her mailbox, her email box. So I'm going to leave that down below. I'll also leave that link again to a template letter that I wrote and that you can use and write and just make it personal to you. But let them know it's called a victim witness impact statement. And how let Annette Cox, who's going to let the courts know, because she's the victim witness liaison for Virginia, let her know so she can let the court system know and the judges or the judge know that how you feel about it, how it affected you at the time of his murder, and how it would affect you now if he is to get out there and have his freedom and possibly be out there on the trail. So thanks a lot for all those that have written previously. I ask that you please double down on that and continue to do so. Currently, he is being held in an institution in Massachusetts. I believe it's FMS, which is Federal Mental, I'm not sure what that's called. I'm sorry, it's FMC Devens. That's in Massachusetts. He was moved there from Virginia. My understanding is because he's from Massachusetts. So you folks in Massachusetts, you can write to your state representatives there. I think you probably have more rights than the rest of us do, knowing he's going to be released into your community. So please let them know that. You have until this coming Thursday to do that. That's the 13th. So it needs to be done no later than then. So when you see this, go and do it, please. And her email address is down below. As like I said again, so is the link to that letter, sample letter that I wrote. Whisper's our northern correspondent. He indicated up in the Prezzies and the Whites they had some rain earlier in the week, and that did a good job of recharging the water sources for the time being, but he said within just a few days they were dry again, so they've had a huge drought up there, just like we all have, really up and down the trail. And so he indicated right now that water sources are not great up there in the Whites and the Presidentials. And this is the time of year when NOBO thru hikers really need to be considering if they're going to be able to make it to Katahdin or not, or if they need to turn it into a flip-flop and flip up. So if you haven't got, and I don't know what the distance is, if you're a thru hiker, leave a comment down below where when you think people have not reached a particular area on the trail, how far north they are, if they need to go ahead and flip up. But Katahdin typically closes. According to Baxter State Park, they say you need to make sure that you have summited no later than October 15th. In 2025, they did not close the trails, which is Hunt Trail system going up to Baxter Peak, which is where the summit is and where the sign is for the northern terminus. They did not close that until October 17th in 2025, but in 2024 they closed October 14th. So that means that, you know, if they get bad weather up there on October 5th, they might close it then. So it's all determining on the weather up there, and you know, and how wet it gets, and then how cold it is up there, because they have to protect the alpine environment, the plants that are up there. And so once they shut it down, it's shut down for good until everything's frozen over, which is in the winter, everything's frozen over, and you're not going to be able to get back up there. And so just make sure that you have got that time frame. Look at your hike, make sure you've got that time to get to Katahdin and summit prior to, I would say, October 10th. If you're pushing October 10th or the first 10 days in October, you're probably, because stuff happens on the trail, you're probably pushing it too close to the limit. Thru hikers that have checked in this week out there, we've got Spotter. She's on trail. She's made it to New York, and she sends in her update.
Hey everybody, hey Ramdino, it's Spotter. I'm currently in New York, and I'm nearby a road crossing that I would have gone a road walk in to go to Belleville Creamery, but unfortunately I'm an early riser and they are not open. So that's disappointing. Trail update, tons and tons of rain still, so all the water sources are plentiful. Even things that are not listed as water sources are currently running. I'm starting to see way less northbounders. They're trickling on by, but not very many. The shelters are starting to become empty again. Yes. Other than that, no more news to report on the trails, so I'll see you guys next week. Bye!
Prepper, of course, he has already summited, and he has finished as far as section hiking, so he's section hiked it, but he's got a 400 and something odd miles, and then he'll be a thru hiker. So he sends in his update.
Hello, Ramdino from mile 835, NOBO, 1362, Sobo, on the Appalachian Trail. Look who I got over here. I got Subman back. Tell them what you're doing out here, Subman.
What's up, Ramdino? I'm supporting these young gentlemen, trying to get this trail finished.
Yes, sir. He
Hope
come
you're
up.
Doing well, brother.
He's hiking through the Shenandoahs and stuff with us. He's trying to get himself back into hiking shape.
A little trail support.
Who we got over here?
Well, looks like Water Boy, and super happy to be out here with my wife, Water Girl.
Water Girl is not here. She's going to be hiking in here in a little while to see us. Tell them about the water out here on the trail there, Water Boy.
Water had a good dump. I guess it was on, Wednesday night, and no NORO signs at the Sealy Woodworth shelter.
Far out's warning you about NORO at that shelter. I'd say they probably got it and brought it to that shelter, but that's been back in July, and obviously it should all be dead by now. So we're out here having a blast. We're finishing this thing up. I have 400 miles to go. Tell them what you did yesterday, Water Boy.
What did we do yesterday? We came out here. We're heading towards Reed's Gap today, but
how many miles you got on the trail?
Over 1,000 miles as of yesterday.
Murray just hit 1,000 miles. So Appalachian Trail 2.0. Let's go, baby.
Take care. later.
Moose Man reports in from the Whites and the Presidentials.
Hey Ramdino, Moose Man checking in. American Dad and myself made it up to the summit of Mount Washington this morning. We were fortunate enough to get a stay at the Lake of the Clouds last night, and we definitely showed them how two thru hikers know how to eat. People were impressed. New Hampshire has been absolutely amazing. Franconia Ridge all the way through. We had a little bit of rain, but the trail's been good, been rugged, but been amazing. We've been blessed with some good weather, and we're just loving it. So pushing on over Madison and keeping on going. Take care, everybody.
And checklist, he is off trail, unfortunately, for temporarily. He reports in from his home in Connecticut.
Hey Ramdino, Checklist here, coming to you from Connecticut. Unfortunately, I slipped and fell on my left side coming down Wildcat Mountain and dislocated my ring finger on my left hand. So I'm off trail for a couple weeks while it heals. But I wanted to let you guys know that I did do the Great Glen boulder hop there on the West Peabody River. It had rained a couple days earlier. It's not bad. It's 20 feet downstream from the bridge. There's some nice large flat rocks that you can easily hop over. Anyways, don't count me out. I'll be back in a few weeks hiking on the Appalachian Trail, getting to Katahdin before the snow flies. Thanks for all you do, Ramdino. Take care.
So we also sent in a video there at the Madison Gulf Bridge that is currently closed, and so you have to have a ford there, and that is the ATC actually has a detour around that closed bridge in case there is inclement weather and you're not able to ford it, and it can be a pretty nasty ford. But right now, according to checklist, it's a rock hop.
This bridge behind me is the one that everybody's talking about. It's closed, and I believe it's because the boards aren't safe. There's a couple spots downstream that look pretty dry and rock hoppable, so that's going to be the plan.
So if you've got a lot of rain that's come through there, for NOBO, you're going to have to backtrack once you get to that area, and if you can't see that you can't ford it. SOBO, you're even worse case. You'll have to backtrack multiple miles, and the bad part about it is if you choose to take the detour, then the detour you're going to miss a lot of stuff there. The Wildcats, and you're going to miss a Pinkham Notch. So you're going to miss a lot of stuff there if you wind up having to take that detour. So pay attention to what's going on in the weather, pay attention to far out and any other sources you can find out there about whether or not that's going to be a legitimate ford or not. And then SOBO Full Moon, he checks in. He has made it to Gorham, New Hampshire, mile 298. And he is enjoying the trail out there. He says southern Maine is no joke. He did say some of the streams and springs previously reported as dry are flowing for now due to the frequent rains he's had in there. He also noted that NOBO encounters have been steady and they have been increasing in numbers. So right now, this is the general area of where the NOBO bubble is. Hopefully everybody's going to have enough time to get up there, but those folks that are lagging, you're going to have to make that decision like we talked about earlier. And then Zuko, she is back on trail and she reports in.
Hey Ramdino, it's Zuko. I'm back on trail. I just came from Hanover and I'm headed towards Moose Mountain Shelter. And that is my water source right before Moose Mountain. I got 2.5 miles, I think it is, up to Moose Mountain Shelter, and there's no water source before it, so I have to carry it up the hill. All right, take care, later.
So we had a couple summits, awesome summits. Over the past week, we had Polchar and his 10-year-old son, Forrest. They summited, and they sent in their summit video.
What's up, Rambino? Coming at you from the top of Sodden. Made it.
We did it. We just wanted to thank everybody for following along and all the support that we got. And we've had a fantastic trip. This is day 172, huh?
Yep.
So February 13th we started. We finally finished. So thanks for everything. Bye, everybody.
Peace.
Oh, that is so awesome to see father, son, and see Forrest and both of them up there. Man, love seeing young people, much less the old people, right, out there on the trail, summiting out there. That is awesome. So congratulations to you guys. They started at Amicalola Falls State Park on February 13th and finished August 4th. This year, of course, and they were 172 days on trail. They started out numbers 113 and 114 in Amicalola Falls State Park, and their summit permits were number 170 and 171. Of course, we know that doesn't mean too much. It is a general indication of how many people have summited. However, that is not the exact number, because we know that some people that have summited have been given a NOBO, marked as a NOBO permit, when in fact they have not. They're really a flip-flopper, and they have not. They still got part of the trail that they had to flip up around. They got to go back and finish. We saw that with one of the first summit folks this year. And then we also know that if you start in the 100-mile wilderness and get to Baxter State Park, they will go ahead and give you a NOBO permit. So those numbers can be a little deceiving. I looked into that a little more. I plan to put out a video out there. I did look at where we were last year at this time. So last year we were at summit permit number 140 on this date last year. So that tells me that it looks like we're going to have more folks summited, or we've had more section hikers that have been marked down as a NOBO out there. So I'll try to keep you posted on that a little bit more. And then we also had another thru hiker who reported into us, I believe she reported in every single week, and that's Sis. Take it away, Sis.
Hey, Rambino, it's Sis with Hiking on a Prayer. Made it to Katahdin. All right. It was a beautiful day, and I have really nothing else to report because, yeah, I made it. So there you go. Thanks for all that you do for the hiking community. It's been an absolute blessing to talk to you each week and to report the trail news. So, yeah, I'm looking forward to keeping in touch with you, and also doing the end of days hike at the end of the year, and hopefully doing some trail magic maybe for some of the SOBOs. So, all right, take care. God bless. Yes.
Man, I'm going to miss Sis, just her checking in every week like that. And just, I mean, she is hiked the whole trail and had that same bubbly, happy attitude the whole time. There's just something about her that's different. And Sis, I appreciate that every single week. Thanks a lot, and we're just so proud of what you did up there, as I am, all of the thru hikers, and we as the community are all the thru hikers up there. So thanks a lot for sending that in. If you got anything out of this, give me a thumbs up, leave a comment down below or a question. I always love to see those. Give me a subscribe to this channel. That helps drive more people to the channel, which increases our reach to more people out in the community, which is what we want to do, is build the hiker community, build the thru hiker community, whether it's folks that are doing it vicariously from home or out there in the dirt. That's all I got this week, folks. As always, appreciate you, and we hope to see you out here.